There we go. It's been a while. So it's great to see everyone. Tonight is, I think it's called Let's Face It, right?
Let's Face It, that's right.
Let's Face It, with Jean, our host of the evening. And let's see, I'm gonna turn over to Vince at the moment to see if he has any announcements, anything new going on these days?
No, it's pretty dull.
Pretty dull.
Yeah.
Dull.
Yeah. Of course, OPW, Open Photo Workshop, is now open. If you I don't know what else to say. The amount of cooperation and goodwill and just good old plain hard work that went into getting that place open is really, really wonderful and inspiring. And a lot of folks on the call tonight helped make it happen. If you haven't been, please come. Hours are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, noon to 6, right, Jenny?
Mm-hmm.
And the show that's up is terrific. So drop in, say hello, give us your ideas about things we can do in the space. And Jenny is the coordinator for the volunteers who are staffing the gallery. And I took shift this weekend, had a great time, met some nice people, learned a lot. I can really recommend it as a fun activity. So jump in there, take a shift.
Yeah. And to interrupt you, sorry, Vince, if anyone here would like to volunteer, just shoot me an email or whatever. DM me on Facebook, Instagram, if you have my email or whatever. Let me know.
And then the last thing I'll mention is the call for entries for the member show. So jump in there. Here is the link for that. So thank you, Anita. So Food with a Twist, all about food and the weird things you did with food over COVID. We'll be making a cookbook and stuff. So jump in there and submit your work for the member show. I think that is all that I can think of. Anita, anything you think of?
There's so much going on, but that's the key points. And yeah, I want to hand it over to Jean. So, but yes, so much good stuff.
Yeah, great. So yeah, let's hand this over to Jean and take it away.
Well, good evening, everybody. This should be fun, actually. Looking forward to it. Thank you guys for inviting me to do another show and tell. I did one some time ago, and here we go. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll kick it off.
Excellent.
If somebody will enable screen sharing.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I did that already. There you go.
Got it?
Yeah.
Perfect. There we go. All right. So we have tonight myself, Ernie, Rebecca, Jess, Vince, Bernie, and Susan presenting. And see if I can get this to work now. There we go. I would like everybody who's presenting to think about and maybe offer some comment about people you're looking at, photographers you're looking at, photographers that might be inspiring you, and maybe you can share that with us, and we can use that bit of information for a little bit of sort of education. People want to follow up on some names and some ideas later on. I'm going to set the timer because I have about 10 minutes to get through this before I pass it on. 3 photographers that I like to look at and whose work inspired me. Omar Victor Diop is from Senegal, and I first saw this guy's work in London, and he does really large photographs. And we were kind of walking around this gallery and not paying too close attention. And then it dawned on me that he's in every photograph. And it's kind of weird when you first see it, and these are probably 6 feet tall in the exhibition. So it was pretty impressive stuff. And he focuses on football or soccer in this series anyway, and he mixes his love for soccer into some traditional dress, and I love his use of color and just his unique vision, his inspiration. So I look at his work quite a bit. And then there's Malik Sidibe. I first saw Malik's work in Paris. Malik is from Mali, was from Mali, he passed away in 2016. And I really love this work because it's so much fun. It just looks like he was having a really good time in the studio with his subjects. And when I do portrait work, I try to do it in the studio. So I try to take something from him. But I love his mix of sort of Western garb and traditional garb, and even bringing a motorcycle into the studio as a prop looks like it was going to be a lot of fun. And I love his imagery, so I try to look at this from time to time. And then Lindsay Adler. I love Lindsay's work because of her use of color and the use of light. She's an expert at this stuff, and she does a lot of social media stuff, a lot of tutorials and all that. It's very easy to find tutorials by Lindsay on YouTube, and you'll hopefully see a little bit of her influence in my work. This portrait, some people may have seen before. Oops, I'm sorry. There we go. All of the stuff you'll see from me tonight is done in studio. I love to make contact with the subject. The eyes are very, very important to me. And I think in everything I show, that'll be evident. I love to work with color. And so this is the most recent portrait I've done, actually. Yeah. I was playing with the notion of color with this one as well, and thinking about the use of the color wheel. I keep a color wheel around the studio and play with it. And so I was trying to play with this notion of monochromatic colors with the subject's garb and the background. And if you looked at a color wheel, the green of the glasses is kind of on the opposite side of the color wheel from the orange or yellow. But once again, I really like to make that eye contact with the subject so that the viewer can sort of feel some communication, some intimacy with the subject. And I was thinking about Lindsay Adler's use of light when I worked on this portrait. It's more glamour than I typically do. This was a setup where a model came to and posed for, I think, 4 or 5 photographers, and we each got about 10 or 15 minutes to shoot. And so I turned off the light on the right side and turned up the softbox on the left side, and had somebody just kind of scrim off everything on the right side to create that really heavy duty shadow, except for this little area here. I didn't want it to be completely black, so there's a little bit of detail back in here, and there's some detail in there, but it's kind of falling away in this image. You can't see it very much, but yeah, I was just having fun with this. This is I love to play around in the studio, and so after we finished a shoot, I asked this model. I crumpled up some paper and I said, "Hey, throw this up and down and catch it and see how high you can throw it." And this one was the one I decided to go with because the piece of paper is sort of at her eye level, but she's not looking at the piece of paper. She's looking at the lens. She's looking at me. But the piece of paper is completely suspended in air. So is it going up? Is it going down? What exactly is going on in this picture? It's not clear, but hopefully it's engaging. And this woman, excuse me, I hired, and she typically poses nude, and I had to convince her that I really wasn't interested in her posing nude for me. I was more interested in her look and her face. And I finally had to drag out my own tuxedo and made her put the damn thing on, because I didn't really want to photograph her nude. And so this is, and I wanted to go for, I said, I'm looking for what it would feel like if you had been out partying all night long, and what it would feel like when you were done and when you came home. And that's the kind of look she gave me here. And you know, I was trying to do my Mona Lisa with this very soft, subtle lighting. Maybe you guys will tell me if it's at all successful. This is another one of those glamour shots with that that young model. And again, I wanted just, you know, some hard shadows here, a little bit of interesting kind of glamour lighting with that piece of blue. That's actually a door. Somebody opened a door in the background and then got all apologetic, but it was cool. And I went with this particular image. And this guy was just somebody whose face I thought was very, very interesting. And so I asked him to do a performance with that feather. And it's part of a ceremonial dance. So yeah, this is a couple of lights. Yeah. I took this in 1976, so a couple of years ago. One of my first forays into studio photography. I keep this one around. I keep trying to find this guy. I've never been able to find him. But if anybody knows Robert and what Robert might look like now, it'd be interesting if I could find him. So the last thing, I've got one or two more images, but the last thing I want to talk about, if people work in the studio or interested in working in the studio, hire a professional model if you can. So this woman, this was her first modeling gig with me. And she was new at this stuff. And I told her I was making like motions with my hand. And I said, I'm trying to create some angularity with you. And can you give me some angles? And this is what she gave me. This is a miserable pose. This is a miserable picture. The kind of deer in the headlights. But this is her first professional gig. And so I'm sure she's better now. And I said the same thing to this model, and this is what I got. Much, in my mind, much more effective, much more interesting lines. And she just knew what to do. She went immediately into this. And so, with a newbie or even a civilian, you get stuff like this. And she was trying, she was trying to give me some angles and give me some things to work with, but this is where she got to. And I think this is much better. Questions, comments, thoughts?
I actually kind of like that weird posed one. I mean,
going to say in the comments, it seems more like a 60s, like a classic 60s sort of look.
Kind of like it too, actually.
And like a model pose, like that are, they're kind of trying to look like mannequins, not even real people. And they're just so weird and awkward sometimes the way they are.
Yeah.
There's something.
Yeah, I guess it was so far from what I had in mind that, I use it as an example of like what not to do. But no, I get that. And actually, maybe a little bit of that Twiggy thing going on and that 70s model thing. Yeah, I see that.
But I think actually that brings up such an important point about photography is, what, as the photographer, what is our intention and what are we going after? And if we're not getting what we want, it's really hard to like the photograph.
Yeah.
But then we can learn from other people because they're seeing it with a completely different idea or intention or nothing, like totally blank canvas. And it's happened to me sometimes where I like don't like something at all. And I know it just has to do with the moment, like, I just have too much of a relationship with that actual point in time rather than like the image isolated.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. That makes a lot of sense, because I'm always going to be tainted by the image I was trying to create,
Right.
you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So, and also if you have a pre-fixed idea in your head what you want, it doesn't allow for those changes. Like on that one, the hands are really cool. The hands are like a number 15, that awkward one. That the hands are just terrific. I mean, I just love that.
Yeah.
So even that image alone with just the hands, you know, and yeah, it's great. I mean, it is interesting to have other people look at your work and get totally different takes.
Well, that's, you know what, I'm glad to hear this. I'm glad I didn't delete the image.
Yeah. I also really loved your use of color in the beginning. I think Vince commented on the yellow one. I mean, that background, I mean, it's so lovely, those colors and her expression, her, you know,
She's very direct.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the interesting technical thing is, it looks fantastic because there's no glare in the lenses of those glasses, but that's really hard to work out, and that took a long time to
I'm
get
sure.
worked out.
Yeah, I was looking at it thinking, oh my God, like, I can't imagine, like, I have a feeling that was a lot of work.
Yeah, it took a
Yeah.
lot of work with getting the lights right, but and then when you do it, you know, it becomes sort of inconsequential because it's done. But if it was a bunch of glare, it just would detract, I think, from the image. So, but we have a bunch of other people, so I'm going to stop sharing, unless somebody has something specific to talk about.
I just want to say about this image, since you're on it, what I love about this image so much is that she feels both really powerful and strong and independent, but also warm and inviting. And I think that's a really difficult to capture both of those in an image. So I admire that too.
Interesting. Thank you. I'll pass it on, actually. That's my wife of 37 years, so.
Oh, wow.
I thought
It's not her
recognized
first
her.
rodeo.
I thought I recognized her from your post.
That's why she has a halo around her head.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we got a lot of people, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Who wants to go next? Let's see somebody's hand or.
And
I'll go.
need to plug my computer.
Okay, cool. Ernie.
See if I can do this here. So I'm going to start this off with the slideshow first and then return to them if time allows for any questions or comments. I want to give some background information. This is the town of Licciana, Nardi, Italy, the birthplace of my paternal grandfather, Ernesto Lupi. It is located in the Lunigiana region of northern Tuscany. As you can see, it's definitely off the beaten path. The area is rustic, but quite beautiful. Gene, as he mentioned before, will be posting some links in the chat for those of you who might want to learn more about the area and its history. As many of you might know, this year marks the 40th anniversary of my first trip to Italy, but I also realized that it is the 30th anniversary of my second visit, as well as the 10th of my last. I had every intention of returning there this year, but I'm not feeling too comfortable traveling just yet, so I decided to do the next best thing. I began to scan the negatives and a few prints from this first trip. The majority of the portraits you're about to see were taken in Licciana, mostly with a Pentax 35mm and a few with a 4x5 view camera. I would now like to share with you some of these memories. My dad and cousin Alfredo, Mario Cecchini, one of the town's barbers.
Hey, Ernie, can you Can you get rid of the,
I don't know how to do that.
just hit
The last one was my cousin. Here she is again. I want to talk later on this one. Sorry, kind of broke up my spiel. Okay, this one and the following portrait were taken with Ilford's XP1 film. And I want to touch bases on this one later if time allows. Now, the next series of 8 portraits were taken with my view camera. This is Ines Ginotti, the town baker. She made a great focaccia. Here she is with her sister Maria. Don't you love those dresses?
Yeah.
A storefront with the owners in front of it. This is Cesarina in front of her little shop. Napoli, the blind cheese vendor. This is Francesco Blandini, pizzeria owner from the little town of Monte that's about a kilometer down the road from Liciana. Come on. My cousins, the Vellinis. There's Roberta again. And last but not least, 3 Italian stallions. And now we're back to the 35 millimeter. And to me, great character lines here. The next 2 portraits are of my maternal cousin, Calogero La Rocca from Sciacca, Sicily. These were also taken with the XP1 film. My girlfriend and I in our hotel room in Bellagio. Another relative, Lisetta Germi. Again, great character lines as far as I'm concerned. Best friends. And last, a shadow portrait of my girlfriend and I. So now.
Wonderful. So nice.
I gotta say, Ernie, these immediately strike me as the travel photos that everybody would like to get when we travel. But we don't have the local knowledge and, communication and cooperation of the people we're trying to photograph like you did. And these are all wonderful as a result of that relationship you have with this.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I needed
people.
my dad or my girlfriend to translate for me because my Italian's not all that great. But what was I going to say? We were living there for about 5 months, and it was like our home. And then we would travel around Italy, come back, and so. But like to do the 4x5 portraits, it really took me 2 or 3 months into the stay before I started getting people to open up to me. The 35 stuff was just like everyday stuff, that was much easier. And then this is my cousin, Roberta. And here she is, whoops. Here she is again with another cousin, Matteo Jeremy. It's funny now, 40 years later, some of these kids have kids of their own that are about the same age as they are in this photograph. I just find that amazing. Now, there's a cute story behind this one. Early one morning, as I was waking up, I heard my name being called out, Ernesto, Ernesto. And I'm still shaking the cobwebs out of my head. And I go, what the hell? So I, look out the window to see these 3 girls smiling back at me. They wanted me to take their photograph, which obviously I obliged, but to compose this portrait, I had to literally straddle the windowsill and lean out quite a bit to capture this moment. I'm sure glad that they called out my name that morning.
Great.
And I like the range of expressions here. Okay, now this one, again, I'm shooting from the street up. I had my Pentax camera with the 50 millimeter, but I felt I had too much of the facade here. And I also was concerned about parallax problems with the window frame. So I switched to my 135 lens. I still had some of the window frame, which I cropped out when I printed because I felt this negative space created a more dynamic portrait. And then here the 4x5.
So beautiful. They all seem very comfortable around you. There's this great comfort involved.
Well, yeah, like I said, it took, a couple months for, them seeing me often enough. And then knowing that, my dad, Mario, that's his son. Okay, he's cool. And then the language barrier. So a lot of it was my fault. But, after a while, I was able to break out the view camera and do some stuff, but mostly outside of the shops because inside was too dark and or too crowded with merchandise to, do anything, realistic.
A lovely composition, really beautiful.
This one?
Yeah, it's really
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so a lot of these shops are on this main street called Via Montebello. It's a really narrow street. But anyway, it's just, and then this one was a place we frequented often, in a little pizzeria to get away from Lichana for a couple hours. And then these are my cousins. And then here's Roberta again. Now, again, this is 40 years ago, so they're all grown up now. And unfortunately, Renzo, the father, passed away probably a decade ago.
Are these all prints?
The 4x5 ones, yes. I had to scan it because my film scanner does only 35 and 120. Thank you, because I forgot to mention that. Yeah. So the 8 that I've shown, or the next one is the last one. These were scanned prints. Yes.
The tones.
The other ones. Oh, and then Mario the Barber was a scanned print because unfortunately I lost the neg. And then these were just scanned negatives. Because when the announcement came out for this show, I was scanning my 1981 negatives from Italy. So I go, oh, this is perfect, because I knew I had, several, at least in my mind, several, great portraits. And this was in Sicily.
This is the one that does it. These two are just marvelous to me, just marvelous.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, it was a little language barrier, and we didn't have that much time to spend. So I'm very fortunate to come away with, these 2 images. Okay, now it might be hard for you to see, but I stumbled on this. I forgot about this portrait, but I came across this at the tail end of my scanning, and I go, oh, this is perfect. Here's a portrait and a dual self-portrait. I don't know if you can see my reflection in the mirror back there, but I go, got to put this one in. And again, relative on that street Via Montebello. Well, that's it. That's all, folks. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the
Beautiful.
chance to
Gorgeous
show
photos.
work.
Those are great, Ernie.
Yeah,
Really
thank you,
gorgeous.
Ernie.
Yeah, really beautiful. Thank you, Ernie. It was really
And
nice
a
stuff.
lovely story too.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I try.
Yeah.
I told Gene I've been working on this for over a month, trying to, get everything tight, and it's like
It worked.
kind of
It
stumbled
worked.
and bumbled a bit, but
We're all
thank
friends.
you again. Much
Beautiful.
appreciated.
Yeah, really beautiful. Thank you, Ernie. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I'm Rebecca.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
Fire it up.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so that was just a wild card there, Jean, about influences. So,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
uh-huh. My friend told me about Angus McBean, and probably because I was doing some double exposures, but there's all kinds of characters, like kind of like movie characters.
Wow.
And sort of, I would love to get into this part, which is like making these like scenes. And also Cindy Sherman's on my mind with her movie stills, like putting herself in a, you know, a fake movie. And also Cindy Sherman's Monsters. And let's see. Then, so this is something I've just been working on this month, and here's some of these characters and monsters and self-portraits. And I made a lot of stuff that I wasn't sure how I was going to do all the colors in it. So that's what it looks like before today. And this is what I'm going to share. No.
Present. Yeah.
Is it?
Come on, Rebecca. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Excuse me, Rebecca, for an image like this, is that your own illustration on top of it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And what are you using? Which programs?
I drew my iPad. I drew them in Procreate today. There we go. Thank you.
What happened?
Can we go back through again, please?
Yeah. Come back. Come back.
Okay. So funny. I now just remind me how I did it last time. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you think I go back? Oh, maybe escape. Okay, here we go.
These are, you know, they're always so surprising. We never know. And they're so exciting. They're very lively, extremely
Yeah.
lively.
Oh, click on present.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, It's true. We never know what we're going to get from you, Rebecca, but it's always great.
Totally true.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I loved seeing
Like this one too.
the pre-show of how you got here.
I know a lot of that pre-show is behind the scenes. It's exciting. Backstage. I love the brush strokes that you're getting here. That's really exciting.
I love this one. It's
Mhm.
so interesting.
So thoughtful.
So I was thinking about a fairy tale.
I love this composition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jean, you really like that eye, the eye contact, right?
I totally do. I totally do. And the big bad wolf, it reminds me of a fairy tale.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting how you're mixing that flat space with deep space. That's very cool. Do you know Hannah Hawk's work?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I really like this one too.
maybe it's Hawk. Yeah. How would you print those up? Would you actually, you could cut them out and then put them on the wall, like, you know what I mean? Like that'd be, what do you think?
Oh, I don't really print things.
This one's really great too.
Yeah. There's so much going on in all of them. They're really great.
Thanks.
Do you have a dog?
No.
I think for me, what really, when I thought that they were good is when I realized the story that you're telling in them. I think, it took a couple of images. I mean, obviously the Little Red Riding Hood at the very beginning, but, I thought maybe that's just a one-off. But then when you see the woodsman and the grandmother and all of the things kind of morphing into different aspects, and it's really creative, I think, and inspiring.
Thank you.
That's very cool.
I
Very
think
nice.
you should print those out, Rebecca. I'm just
Actually, I
saying.
have a question on that. So I was just kind of, since I just drew this Little Red Riding Hood thing today, I hadn't really thought about it like I'm illustrating the book. And so each one is kind of like a standalone. They weren't sequenced like the story particularly. So
I think they totally can stand alone.
Oh yeah, because I didn't. So are these designed for the book? A book?
no, I just I literally just did it like today, like before.
But you've been building up to it.
I think a book would be cool though. It makes me think of
Yeah.
Ralph Steadman's illustrations of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, like this, illustrating the Red Robin Hood tale with these sort of, extreme and much deeper illustrations.
I think they would work well with in a kind of a zine format with inexpensive paper and, not just not a fancy book, but yeah.
Yeah, like a zine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or I could see it as a trade book on that kind of newspapery paper.
Yeah.
Papery print.
Uh-huh.
That could work too. Exciting.
Thank you.
Nice stuff, Rebecca.
That's
Thank
great.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I'm totally impressed that you just did that today. I mean, that's why I said you've been working on it for a while, and it kind of came together today, because putting that all together today, oh my God.
But
The
you're
deadlines, yeah.
You're always working, right, Rebecca?
Yes, I mean, yeah,
Nothing like a deadline, right?
yeah.
Sorry. Well, thank you. That was very cool.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Who wants to go next? I'm gonna have to call on somebody. Oh, there we go. There we go.
I can go.
Okay.
All right. So with full disclosure, I signed up for this, not knowing what the F I'm doing when I'm photographing people. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to just get out there and get my feet wet. So I have a great friend that lets me practice on her. Let's see. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
So she is going through some personal stuff and discovered that she really likes riding motorcycles. So we went to Mare Island and just photographed her on the streets of Mare Island.
So do you have a motorcycle as well?
I do not. No, actually, I'm scared to get on motorcycles. I ride bikes.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
The shadow.
Yeah, the shadows and the track marks. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Is she really riding it with those heels?
No.
I was gonna say, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
Yeah, baby. The heels are good.
I really like this one with the eye contact.
She
Yeah.
has a sad, intense look.
She, I think she has more experience photographing portraits than I do, as being a model. I didn't really have to do much work.
This is such a different feeling. It's amazing.
Hmm.
That one from the one before.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
background. You get nice contrasts.
I was standing on the top of my Jeep for this one.
I was going to ask you how you got that angle. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops. What happened? Mare Island's a lot of fun to photograph.
It is. Let's go back.
I don't know why that's a funny image to me.
This one?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. It feels kind of alien with the face
Oh, yeah.
covered up.
I think that's it.
The reflections in there are intense.
Yes.
Yeah, we just this was a great building to photograph around, just because on the other side of the building, there's this white, across the street from that building, there's a white building, and just kept reflecting all this light right onto her. So we were pretty lucky with the timing and the light. All right, that's all I got.
Cool. Cool.
I like these. There's a real sort of editorial quality to them. Magazine quality. Very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Jessica, you have a mix of color and black and white. How did you pick which ones to render as black and white?
Wow, that's a good question. When I photograph, I set the camera to photograph black and white. And then I guess just through editing, I started liking some of them in color.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing any in black and white. Can you show them in
Yeah.
a grid format maybe?
Yeah. Do you know how I do that?
Haha, no. Maybe just run through them again. I'm just curious because I didn't remember any black and white.
Okay.
The one with the tire
Oh,
tracks.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
This expression's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very,
Intense, very intense.
yeah. This
Love
this
the
has,
composition, by the way. Just want to spend a moment on the composition. It's really, to me, well done. You know, you could have clipped those mirrors off and that would have been a different image, not as effective. I like the entire image contained in the frame, even down to the boots, are all in the frame. Very nice.
Well, and those side mirrors and the boots kind of make an X.
Yep,
Uh,
yep.
they're all, everything's connected.
Yeah, we got to have the tips of the boots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a great intensity to it.
So I don't know how I get out of the slideshow, but I'm stuck in a slideshow.
Probably escape.
Oh,
This one's so good. Yeah.
I
And
love
that's-
this. Yeah,
that's
this is
the
really,
one.
that's
I
really
think that's
good.
my favorite.
Good.
It's really great to have a willing model to just, just to play with, who you feel comfortable with too, so you said you weren't very comfortable or hadn't photographed many people, so that's great that you guys went there. And
If you move the cursor, then you won't have that thing there. Just move it away
I'll move it away. Okay.
to the side.
Yeah, I think she's pretty creative as well, and it's a lot of fun playing.
yeah,
She's really open to anything. So it's a great partner in crime. So I'm pretty lucky.
I think when you're photographing people and they have so she has this motorcycle to rest on and relax on. And so sometimes that's easier, even a chair versus just standing, where you can collapse into it.
a prop, a giant prop.
Yeah, I can imagine that's hard to know what to do with your hands as the model, where to put your hands, and for her it's pretty easy. She had a bike to hold on to.
Exactly.
All right,
Great gloves. Look at those
Nice stuff.
gloves.
thank you.
Yay.
All right, am I out of it?
Not yet.
Oh, let's see.
So Jessica, are you happy with the outcome?
Yeah, it's a little bit more commercialized than I think I had in mind, but maybe I just blew out the cobwebs and I can get a little more creative and fine art, more artistic.
Mm-hmm.
And make a great zine. It would make a great zine.
Nice stuff.
Thank you.
But to that point, just I think it's a great, again, it's just a great exercise, even if it is more, what was the word you used, editorial or commercial? I can't remember what the word you used, but
Yeah, editorial.
just to break down the first wall. What do I do? What am I used to saying? Okay, I'm going to do that. And then when you're in it, you can kind of relax and free up your brain and just respond however you're feeling. But you got to kind of get used to it first.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And honestly, we had a blast. We had such a good time. And,
Yeah.
whether or not we got photos from it, we enjoyed each other and enjoyed the Mare Island and just playing. We just
That's
really had a
awesome.
great time playing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I think
It's
that
fun
feeling.
photographing people.
I think that feeling comes across in photographs when there's a connection between the photographer and the subject and the model. You know, you can discern that there was a connection. If you had not said anything about it to us, I think it would have been obvious to us in any event, you know.
Mhm. That's great. Well, good.
I'm
Thank
just curious, the light is so beautiful. Were you there in the morning or the evening or?
Evening. We probably showed up around 5, maybe 5. Maybe we got there around 5. And I was just kind of driving around to scope it out. So yeah, we're trying to hit the sunset.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Jess,
Yeah.
I love watching these photos because you were posting them on Facebook and it looked like you were having a really good time. One thing just to think about, if you want to get away from maybe the more commercial look, is not look for that perfect light, because all of these were so evenly lit. And if you want to create more emotion out of them, perhaps try a time when it's more shadowy, or a time when the light is really intense and high overhead and you're playing around with shadows. That would create a little more energy, or just some more visual interest that wouldn't be magazine looking. I mean, not that obviously they're creative images in magazines, but you know, I was just sort of referencing your comment. Because I know that when you're out photographing someone for the first time and you're not really doing this stuff in this kind of work, you want your light to be as good as possible, because it's one thing you don't want to be sort of fighting with.
Mhm.
But put that tension in there.
Yeah, I agree.
And see what you do with it. Now that you've photographed her and you're more comfortable, and I think her poses are really good. So that's definitely not something that you've accomplished. Now it's time to mess it up.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, thank you. All right.
Thank you, Jessica.
Did I stop sharing already, or
No, you still have the screen.
how do I do that? Stop share. Stop share. Got it.
Cool, thank you. 3 people.
I'm happy to go.
Okay, Susan, cool.
So I have been working on when COVID first hit, I was out of work because I had nerve damage in my hand, so I couldn't work. And then I had to have foot surgery and I hit menopause. So I got depressed. And I had to fight to get out of it. And then I realized in fighting to get out of it, I joined all kinds of clubs, and because everything was online and I wasn't working, I was able to do so much with photography. And so then I felt guilty because I was having a good experience. And so what I tried to do was talk to other people, and I found they had the same experience. And so I decided to do a photo essay on people's experience with COVID. And so that's what this is. And when I first started out, I was going to do in-depth stories with 10 families and just kind of follow them, their daily lives. And it was so emotional and that I struggled with that, and not in a bad way. It was just like really intense and really exhausting to spend time with these families like that. And then I had taken a couple of porch photos, and I found that I really thought they were interesting too. And so I wound up doing 60 families on the porch, much like this one. And I followed 5 families, kind of a day in the life. I did 4 hours at a time, and 3 or 4 visits I went to them to do it. So these are a couple of the porch photos.
Fabulous.
They're total. I'm sorry.
Fabulous.
Thanks. They're totally unposed. I didn't tell them how to stand or what to do. I just said that I was there to take a picture of them. And I think it's really interesting kind of to see how people interact with each other. the way they dressed for, I told them to dress in their pajamas if they wanted to, and every single family got dressed really fancy. So it was really kind of interesting. And then the other thing that I did was ask them to hold signs while they sat on the porch. Sorry about that. Signs while they sat on the porch, and the sign can say anything that they want. It can be written on anything they want. It can be super fancy or not at all. That was up to them. So what was interesting to me was that the majority of them had love somewhere in their signs. And most of them were pretty fancy. These two were the only exceptions, I think, that didn't say love. This is a song, I can't remember the artist, but this guy is kind of funny. He's a friend of mine. And this is the lyrics to In My Room, which he felt like was appropriate because that's where he spent most of his time. And this is another friend of mine who lost 200 pounds during the experience. He was able to focus on his diet and mental health. So there's that. And then these are some of the families that I spent the day with. It's not really a whole day, but I call it day in the life. Just kind of talking about, before I went to their houses, I interviewed them, kind of talked about, what has changed and what are they doing. And, everybody tried to create home office and trying to juggle toddlers, and lots of people cut their own hair. They started working out from home. Anybody who had a pet said their pets were what helped them make it through. And some of them said their kids, which is kind of like a pet, just with 2 legs, helped them make it through. Lots of people met in the park to social distance lunch with their friends. This family had the girls had started a dance lessons, right before COVID started. And they continued on and wanted to have a dance recital. So they had a Zoom dance recital for anybody who wanted to come. And the 2 girls put on this really fabulous show. It was super cute. And they also, to try to occupy themselves, got chickens. And the girls sell now fresh chicken eggs. They're really proud of their chickens. It was really sweet. So we'll spend some time with them doing that. So a lot of people talked about having a lot of quiet time to read, and then there was not so quiet time. And I put this all together in a show. I didn't realize it was over that fast. I thought I had more images that I'm exhibiting, which isn't what this is about, but I just threw it in there. So that's pretty much it. It was a really interesting process. And I think it helped me come out of being depressed or, feeling guilty about having such good experiences.
Well, I will say, first of all, that not anything about the technical piece. I think all the technical stuff is really great, but I really love the fact that there may be one image here or one set of images where people have on masks, and for the rest of them they don't. And I love that. I love that you captured the COVID time without people being masked, because I think as time goes on, we're going to see a lot of pictures with people in masks, and so this was a nice change of pace. I love the pairings, like this beautiful pairings.
Thank you.
Really, really nice, really successful series, really nice. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Thanks. And I do have masks, but for my mask images, I actually had them throw masks like they were graduating, the same kind of thing. And some of them are great. It's kind of hard to capture because people's hands go all kinds of different ways and cover people's faces. And then the masks, you can't help how they fall. So I have some that are good and some that were not so good, but it was interesting to go into their houses. I double masked. And it was not the most comfortable. I have a lot of respect for doctors who wear that PPE all day long. This couple, they're nurses and they work in the COVID wards, and they both actually got COVID. So that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
Fabulous.
It's enough.
Thanks.
It's great.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, very nice.
You're really good with kids too.
Thanks.
Catching those their own private moments. It's good.
Yeah, that's what I really work hard on, trying to get on their level and make them feel comfortable.
Really good.
It shows.
Thank you very much. I
Excellent.
love that series. It's very nice.
Thanks.
Are you happy with the outcome?
I am. I'll be happier when I have them all printed and hung for the show. Yeah. I think that it's really interesting. I think individually they're nice, but when you see them all together, it really is pretty incredible.
How will you print them? I'm sorry. How will you print
Oh, that's
them?
okay. I'm printing them. I have a printer that I'm printing the smaller ones, and then I'm printing the larger ones at school. I go to San Jose State. So, and I'm printing them on rag, not burrata, but it's bright white rag from Moab.
And what is the scale?
Some of them I'm doing everywhere from 8x10s to 16x20. I think is the largest I'm gonna print. So I have about 100 pictures and I'm gonna hang them salon style. Yeah, it's a lot of printing.
Oh.
I'm in printing hell right now, or heaven, whichever way you want to look at it.
But you're not framing them.
I am framing them, yeah, in super cheap
Wow.
frames, yeah, super cheap frames.
Yeah, you got it with 100.
Yes, like the cheapest I could get and everything I could do to get a discount. Yeah, all the discounts. So yeah.
Great.
That's a major commitment to print and frame 100 photographs.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So
You are to be congratulated. That's
thanks.
Yes,
hell of a
good luck with that
project.
undertaking. Good luck.
Thank you so much. I have a lot of help, so I think it will be okay.
cool. Well, thank you. We got Vince and Bernie. Gonna arm wrestle to see who goes next.
I can go.
Okay.
All right. So this is a story in portraits, or portrait story. This is, let's see. Hang on a second, I'm gonna unshare. There we go. This is my friend Megan Rohr, and this was probably taken 20 years ago when Megan was studying to get their doctorate in theology, and was a minister on the streets of San Francisco. So Megan didn't have a congregation, and so started a ministry called the Night Ministry, because they didn't have anyone else to preach to or to help. Started this night ministry in San Francisco, and would go out at night to help people, and started this ministry And then this was, they were starting a garden in a vacant lot in San Francisco. And that's when we first met, was when they had started this night ministry. And Megan would sleep out on the streets a couple nights a week, just to make sure, even though Megan had an apartment, to make sure that that they could, connect with the people that Megan was ministering to. So this I think is 20 years old, this image. And at the time, openly gay ministers were not accepted into this synod of Lutheranism, if that's, I said that right, yeah. But a few years later, the synod voted to allow openly gay ministers and to restore several ministers that had been kicked out because they were openly gay. And so there was a ceremony to restore these pastors and to induct Megan, who was part of this crop of pastors. So they invited me to do the portraits for these ministers who were being restored into this Lutheran Synod. So we probably 5 years after that earlier portrait. And this is part of a series of portraits of this group of ministers who'd been restored to the Lutheran Church. This is group photo of, you can tell this was a really fun shoot. It was just supposed to be headshots, but we did a lot of fun stuff. So I got them all to lie on the floor, and they were very obliging to do some crazy stuff. We'll flash forward another probably 5 years, and Megan was finally given their own congregation, Grace Lutheran, which is way out in the avenues in San Francisco, but they were now had an official congregation. Also in that time, in addition to the night ministry, Megan had also become the chaplain of the San Francisco Police Department and the fire department. And we actually met at one of their projects, which was a program to feed seniors in San Francisco, which I didn't know at the time, but different houses of worship around San Francisco would have a free seniors lunch every day, and it rotated around. So the seniors knew which church they could go to on any particular day, where they could get a free lunch. The different houses of worship cooperated, and it was all different denominations were part of this scheme to make sure that folks had somewhere to go and somewhere to eat. And I did a portrait series with them. So that was when Megan and I met. So by the time that they got their own congregation, they were also still doing the night ministry and chaplain of the police department and the fire department, and running a homeless center. And the first program in that homeless center was to bring in opticians and to offer to homeless people so that they could get prescriptions and get eyeglasses. And so that was a real early program of theirs. So by the time this happened, all that stuff was still going on, and they had just started a family, adopted 2 kids. This image actually was included in an exhibition at the All Saints Lutheran Church in Mainz, Germany, which was about these restored ministers. So this portrait actually hung in Martin Luther's own church, and I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but it was there during this exhibition. And so the next step on the journey, so this is probably 5 to 7 years ago, is those are bishop robes. So, so my friend was elected bishop of this synod of Lutheranism that had kicked them out years before, and asked me to do the official portraits. So I did a series. This actually shot at OPW before we opened, just because it was a nice spot where I could set up. But I was unfortunately not really on my game this day. I wasn't feeling great, and I ended up in the hospital later in the evening after I got home with some abdominal problems. But they were a great sport, and we got through it and got the work done. But this is they were elected bishop, and this is a series of kind of basic PR shots that they could use. But Megan always brings their personality to absolutely everything they do, which makes it very easy to photograph.
That's a nice one.
So this was the start in the kind of the official bishopy robes. And these are all the ones I turned over to the church for them to use. And kind of all their different outfits.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, see, Jean, this is where I fell down on the glasses reflection a little bit. Some very bishopish shoes. All you OPW volunteers will recognize that floor, which is already kind of seeing wear and tear. At the end of the session, so I shot those digital, and then I shot some medium format. So this is a format that I've used a lot for portrait series to print across multiple images. I've done this a lot for different portrait series, trying to get different expressions and different points of view. And this is.
Did you do that in the enlarger?
In the past, I did these using Reiko's 8x10 enlarger, but I don't have access to an 8x10 enlarger anymore. So these are just scanned.
I see. They're funny. She looks funny serious.
Mm-hmm. And there's
sorry to interrupt, but doesn't Harvey Milk have an 8x10 enlarger?
I don't know.
I
haven't.
I think they do.
Okay. I'll check.
95% certain. Yeah, totally. If you got them.
Yeah, that would be great. I used to do these all the time out of a portrait series, and then when I lost access to that larger, stopped doing them. This is from a 4x5. So, and for portrait session like this, often I would use, bring 5 or 6 different cameras, take different approaches. So I brought these 3 cameras, but I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't have a lot of patience, so we kind of wrapped up pretty quickly. But I did get actually really, really happy with this this image.
This is an incredible portrait. I mean, all of them are. This person is so wonderful. And seeing them in all of the robes and like, I don't have the right word for it. And then seeing them in this t-shirt, like what an amazing t-shirt.
Yeah. Vestments, I learned is the word.
Vestments.
Yeah.
I mean, those vestments, holy moly.
Yeah.
And then, but this t-shirt, like having one with the red robe next to this.
Yes.
That might be cute.
Yeah, that'd be a great diptych.
Yeah.
That's really good idea. So part of but all I can remember about this frame, I probably brought 16 sheets of 4x5, and I think I only shot 2. And all I can remember is just, pulling the dark slide, squeezing the shutter, putting the dark slide back and saying, let's go. But, I feel like this is I really like this image. And then there was another piece of it. These are digital. But part of just all the different things that Megan brought to this shoot, which
Great expression. You got
Yeah.
all these great expressions.
So good.
part of my job on this project is to help Megan get the message across that they belong in this role. And when it was announced, of course, they received death threats, all sorts of ugly and negative things came out against the church, representatives of the church, and Megan themselves. So that's part of this game, is to say, they belong there. So the next part of the shoot was a couple days later, after I was out of the hospital and could kind of understood a little more what was going on. So we got access to Grace Cathedral in San Francisco and continued with this idea of, this is where Megan belongs. This is her rightful role. And these were okay. Felt like, we had to kind of do these shots. This is just an outtake. That was kind of fun. But one thing I found when I was there, I got there early, was walking around looking for shots, and there was this wonderful light coming from the stained glass windows. And I was thinking, well, of course we want to use the stained glass windows. That's why we're here in the darn cathedral. But I saw this incredible light on the floor. And that for me was magic. Oh, this is what we're here for, is this light that's just shining on its own, waiting for us to discover.
It's also the way it plays off of their purple shirt underneath. I don't know, it creates some kind of connection, between the place and the person and the spirit. I don't know. What.
And it was just complete serendipity. I brought all sorts of lights and all sorts of, everything, for kind of conventional location shot, but this is just natural light. It's just something that we discovered. And so it was nice to be prepared for a little bit of, or prepared to take advantage of a little bit of serendipity. And these turned out to be some of my favorite shots from the series. So I think that's it. Me and the Bishop. Bishop Rohr also presided over our wedding last year. So we're very lucky, Anita and I, she wasn't a bishop at the time though. So she was almost a bishop. So that's sort of the more conventional, shot.
Is that really conventional?
This is like consciously using the elements, using the stained glass window and so forth.
What are you going to do? It's God.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
That's great. Great gestures.
Great story.
So
Yeah, incredible.
There you go. That's my story.
The transition from her on the streets to in the church with the light shining down on her, that just gives me goosebumps.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Very special.
When Vince, this was recently, well, the most recent images were done recently.
About 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, cool.
How are you feeling now?
Oh, thank you. I had surgery 2 weeks ago. So I had gallbladder surgery 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And so it all went smoothly, totally bouncing back. It was, our OPW grand opening was on the 18th. And they come back to me with a surgery date. And it's like, oh, how about September 18th? Like, how about any day but that? So it ended up being the Tuesday before.
Which is why we're here tonight.
Yeah, that's right. We postponed from, that's right.
Yeah, so I appreciate it. But I'm
Glad you're on the mend.
I'm really on the mend. Everything went smoothly. And so, yeah, really feeling a lot better and on the mend. So thank you, everybody. Anita, who's taking such great care of me.
We had one more presenter, but unless I'm missing something, I don't see Bernie.
I don't see Bernie either.
Well, what are we gonna do, boys and girls? Oh, so anyway, at the very beginning, I was interested in who you're looking at, who you're paying attention to, who's inspiring you these days.
I'll go just because I went last. I always I think I can't talk about a specific artist. I feel like I'm always looking at faces of any kind and representations of faces. So actually on my shift at OPW on Sunday, a woman came in who's an artist who's visiting from Washington, DC, and showed me some commissioned portraits that she'd done, and she was a painter. And just looking at her portraits, her particular style, and how she had brought her sensibility to those portraits, influenced me a little bit. So I think I'm kind of always looking at people and how people are being represented, not just in photography, but all different ways. I like to look at drawings. I like to draw faces and try to understand how light is working on the different planes of the face. That actually has influenced me a lot too. Just trying to draw faces has, I think, influenced photography.
I agree with that. I think it helps me too to understand the light and where it hits and how drawing has helped me, I think, in my photography. I mean, just exactly for what you're saying.
I enjoy trying to, I think dissect is the wrong word. What do you call it? Reverse engineer photographs that I see. I would try to figure out how that was lit and where the lights were placed and what kind of lighting they might have used, hard light, soft boxes, all that kind of stuff. Try to figure that stuff out, and then not commit it to memory, but that exercise kind of helps when I'm in the studio. Yeah, so I do that quite a bit. And I don't know if you can see in the background, but I keep tear sheets of stuff that I think is interesting and photographs that I, want to do more on and all that kind of stuff. So I try to keep inspiring things all around.
Yep, got a lot there.
Actually, right now there's the show at OPW is very kind of portrait based. Malcolm's work, he's photographed these folks who ride bikes around town, and it's a great portrait study also, environmental portrait study. In fact, one of them is very similar to one that you took, Jess, of your friend with the shadows and the wheel marks, is very similar to one of the very popular photographs of Malcolm's that's up on the walls at OPW, if any of you get a chance to go there. But
how long is that up for?
Good question. What's the
Until-
answer to that?
Till early November.
Yeah, whatever Vince said.
Good.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, noon to 6.
Good to know.
But yeah, I mean, I was involved in framing and hanging that show, and it would be an understatement to say that I had a lot going on, and so I wasn't really focusing too much on the photographs while I was framing them. And then while we were hanging them, I started seeing them because they were right in front of my face. And then I calmed down a bit and got to enjoy them. I mean, Neely and I hung that show and we put them all up and we tried to figure out, you know, the order and all that, the pairings. And anyway, it's a really, I really enjoyed looking at those portraits. Just thinking about portraits these days. And also like photographing a group of people, like I've been, you know, photographing skaters. And when I was looking at these bike riders, it was a great exercise in me taking a step away from a similar way of photographing people and seeing this other group and then focusing on their faces and what they were doing. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about with portraits right now.
Cool. Well, we actually get to finish on time. How about that?
That was awesome.
Thank you guys again for letting me play along here. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks, Jean.
Thank
Sure.
you.
This is my
Anytime.
first show and tell, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you
Yay,
so
welcome.
much.
Yay.